Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Mariana and you're watching Lucifer's Library. Today I am bringing you an update on my vacation TBR. If you haven't checked it out yet, the video is on my channel. Alright, let's talk about my vacation TBR, shall we? I went to Croatia for 2.5 weeks. Did not finish a single book. I took like 18 books with me, which is not a lot. I also had my Kindle and audiobook, but no physical book has been finished. I did read one audio, which was The Body Keeps the Score by Bessel van der Kolk, I think. It's about PTSD and trauma. And let me tell you, I was going through it. I was just really struggling with PTSD and just emotional numbness, and overall had a lot of trouble picking up books and concentrating on them because so much was going on in my mind and so much was not going on in my mind. I went to both extremes and it was just a lot of mental work that I had to do. So I went to Croatia to recharge, and that's what I ended up doing. I read almost every day, but I did not finish too many books. Now, before I go into DNFs, I also want to say that I picked up A Curse So Dark and Lonely. This was the last book I picked up on my vacation, and this is the only book that I am going to finish. I am about 100 pages away from finishing it, so I am definitely going to continue later on. We might also read this for the Unfinished Book Club. Basically, Strange the Dreamer, we are not continuing with the second book in September, but there is a poll on the Discord channel where you can vote for one of your books. Like, we have 4 book options. One of them is A Spanish Love Deception, A Curse So Dark and Lonely. We have Sorcery of Thorns and The Poison Study. I had to check because I completely forgot what the book picks were. But anyway, you can vote on the Discord channel if you are interested in reading any of these books with us. I am really enjoying this book. I didn't think I would. I honestly wanted to DNF with the first chapter because I didn't like, I think it was the kidnapping, or I don't know, there was this scene that I didn't like, but then moving forward, I think I made the good decision to just continue. Now, as for these two, I didn't get to pick them, I didn't get to read them. These are the continuations of A Curse So Dark and Lonely. I also forgot to tell you, I did not bring Queen of Shadows with me. I am still on the fence, still deciding whether I want to finish this series or not. This used to be one of my favorite series. I just don't have the mental capacity for fantasy. And you will see that throughout this video. I just don't I don't know how to explain it. I just can't pick up fantasy. I'm not concentrated enough on the world. I have no idea what's going on, or I just feel too emotionally numb to be invested in a fantasy. So it's just the lack of investment, whereas I know this is not normal because I never used to be like this. So for now, I think I'm going to put fantasy, like adult fantasy or just, you know, fantasy that is very complicated, I'm going to put it on the back burner. And I'm doing this for a lot of these books. I am keeping the series because I have the entire series, and I don't know if I'm ever gonna continue, to be honest. I don't know if I'll ever pick it up ever again, but I would like the option. We also have Truly Devious by Maureen Johnson. I didn't pick this up at all. I didn't even look at it. I am interested now. I think I'm going to be continuing because I did read like, I don't know, 38 50 something pages a few months ago, so I think I'm in the mood for a mystery right now, which I wasn't a few months ago. Definitely keeping this one. Strange the Dreamer, I am DNFing this one. I am not in the fantasy mood again. I don't have the capacity, and also I did read like over 59 pages. I was last left with this, but I also had the audiobook, and I think I'm just ready to let go. I'm ready to clear off my TBR. I'm ready to just know when to call it quits, because if I'm not interested in it right now, I probably won't be interested in it 6 months from now. But if I will be, I'm just gonna pick up the audiobook because that is also an option, you know. But yeah, I am here to clear off my TBR shelf and I gave it a chance, and it's a no from me. We have Emerald Green. This was supposed to be a reread, but I picked it up on a very bad day. I was just mentally over everything. Didn't care. Don't think I'll ever finish my reread of the trilogy. I don't know what happens in this book, and honestly, I don't care anymore. I reread the first 2 books, I think this year, and I'm done. I'm just over it. So this goes back to the box set, but it's staying in my collection. The standalone I was looking forward to probably most, apart from one more that I will tell you about later. I picked it up. The writing was not for me. I don't normally pick up contemporary YA, and it's because I outgrew it. So I am fine with just moving on. This book is very beautiful, but I don't think I'll keep it on my shelf. Even though I have a Wattpad book collection that I should realistically go through and see what I want to keep and what I want to give to my sister, because my sister also has a bunch of books. And yeah, I don't think I'll keep this just because I outgrew it. If I picked it up 2 years ago when I bought it, I probably would have loved it. But it's fine. It's not the book's fault again. It's me. Given by Nandy Taylor. I read like half of this book. I really did. Then I hit a mental wall, and then I lost interest. And it's also because the pacing wasn't enough to keep me interested when I was losing concentration. And I think I am just ready to let go again. I loved this world because there is so much going on, so many characters that are from different sides of the world trying to come together in this like city or, you know, academy, and it's really nice to see different ways of life and this magic system and the different religions. I really enjoyed that aspect, but I don't think right now this is for me. Again, I am ready to just move on. I'm not feeling that deeper connection that I want to feel when I pick up a book, and that is the same with Clickbait and Stranger Dreamer and other books. I'm just ready to move on. Alright, then I also picked up The Fiery Heart. I don't know how much I got to. I think I got to 150 or 200 pages again, and I don't know. I said it in the vlog, I forgot, but I DNF'd this one. And so I'm DNFing this one and this one as well, because 2 years ago I started reading the Bloodline series. This is the spin-off to Vampire Academy, and the thing about that time was I was just really looking forward to finishing binge reading series and finishing them. But then my grandpa died, and a lot of stuff happened in that time span when I was reading these books that I stopped in the middle. And now that I picked it up, listen, if I wanted to, I could finish them. It's not a bad series. But again, I moved on and I'm just not clicking with these books. So for these 3, I'm going to be still keeping them in my collection because I do have Vampire Academy and I do have the other Bloodlines books. But will I ever read them? No. I don't think so. Maybe when I'm in a YA mood, but for now I'm ready to let go again. We have A Dark and Hollow Star. I've not picked up this one, so this one goes back to my TBR collection. The Demon King is also a book I didn't get a chance to pick up, so again, back to the TBR. I'm still interested in reading it. We have Glass Sword, King's Cage, and War Storm. These are the rest of the books in the Red Queen series. I think I will still be keeping these just because they're YA and a little easier to go through. Will I read them anytime soon? I'm not sure, because I do have it in my mind that these are easier to read than, let's say, Sarah J Maas books. I would still like to keep them on my TBR shelf, and I do have an interest in finishing this series. Speaking of Sarah J Maas, I would like to pick up A Court of Silver Flames because I really did like A Court of Thorns and Roses. Am I itching to pick it up anytime soon? No. It'll probably stay on my shelf for a few more years, and then when I do pick it up, I'll be beating myself up. Why didn't I pick it up sooner? I think that's how it's gonna go. But the reason why, even though it's a fantasy, why I'm keeping it on my shelf is because I've been so invested in the characters, and I want to see more of Riss and Fabra, even though this is not their story. I want to see glimpses of them, and also because this is smutty. I like smutty fantasy, and this is one of those books that I know that has smut, so I'm just gonna keep this and, you know, pick it up when I'm in a smutty fantasy mood. And last one, we have Sorcery of Thorns. Again, this is one of the books on the polls for the Unfinished Book Club that you can vote for. I have it in physical copy. This is actually my sister's book, so this goes back on her shelf. And yeah, Sorcery of Thorns, I don't know, there's not much to say other than I'm interested in reading it. I haven't gotten to it. I've had a lot of DNFs this vacation. I didn't read as much as I wanted to, and I got to thinking, did some like introspection or whatever, and I'm just ready to let go of some books that I am not feeling the pull to. I'm ready to just let go, and I know there are some books that I'm keeping on my shelf because A, they were recent buys when I was in a completely different mindset, and B, because I wasn't ready to admit that I don't want to read them anymore. And sometimes you will read more when you are giving yourself the freedom to pick out books outside of the ones that you pressured yourself to read. You know, like when you don't have a set TBR or the set books that you should read, you tend to read more because you pick up just whatever is interesting to you. And yes, I have this idea in my head that I want to finish my physical TBR. I know it's not going to happen this year because I do have Crescent City and A Quarter of Silver Flames that I'm not planning on picking up anytime soon. And there are books that I'm not planning on picking up anytime soon, but I did severely reduce my physical TBR, mostly by unhauling rather than reading. And there are still some books left that I want to discuss with you right now. We have Sabriel. I'm not sure if I'll ever pick this up, but I probably will for the Unfinished Book Club, so I'm still keeping it here. Uprooted, again, was a recent buy. I bought it in December of last year, and I'm keeping it not because I'm particularly interested, because I don't think I am right now, but I did hear this is Slavic folklore, Slavic inspired, so I want to keep it for Slavicathon if it's gonna be in December. Again, since I'm not reading Queen of Shadows, I will be taking off Empire of Storms and Kingdom of Ash, my TBR. I'm just going to be putting it on a different shelf. And oh, and also I forgot Tower of Dawn. I will be putting these books on a different shelf and just not feel the pressure to read them. They're just there. If they're not read, that's fine. Little Women. I love this cover. Will I ever realistically read this? No. Do I want to unhaul it? No, because this was just a recent buy. I bought it in December of last year, and because I bought it recently, I just can't seem to tell myself it's okay to just let it go. You don't want to read it. Why do you have it right now? Just give it to someone else. It's fine. I'm going to... Yes, Mariana. Unhaul. It's hard for me to part with books that are recent buys, even though I no longer have the desire to read them. Children of Blood and Bone. This book is missing 30 pages and probably more. It is just very damaged when I got it. If I want to pick this series up, I will pick it via audiobook, because when I did pick it up via audiobook, I did enjoy it, and I think I'm just waiting for a time when I am in a more of a fantasy mood again. So I think I'm also going to be giving this to my sister because I think she's gonna enjoy it, but I am just ready to let go also because I would rather read this in audio than in physical. The Name of the Wind. Again, unhaul. I am not interested in it anymore. I read yesterday the Goodreads summary. I'm not interested. I only wanted to read it because I heard a lot of good things about it, but then I also heard a lot of bad things about it, and I'm not interested at all. It's a fantasy book, I think. I'm not sure. Doesn't hold my interest. Last but not least, we have Daughters of Nori. This is one I'm not sure about. This is one that I want to read. This is one I want to have on my shelf. But realistically, I don't think I will ever read it because it's a fantasy book again. And in my head, I have that it is a very complicated fantasy, even though I already started reading it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep this book. And I'm going to wait for a later date when I am ready to pick it up. But again, I am just waiting to be in a fantasy mood. Summoner, this one I'm also going to put on a shelf of the books that I have read, because I don't ever want to read this book. I'm not interested again in fantasy. I mean, I am interested in fantasy, don't get me wrong, but I'm not interested in like complicated or very developed fantasy. I don't know. And this is also a book that my sister got me. It is signed, so I'm keeping it because I don't have a lot of signed books, because I don't live in a country where it's easy to meet the authors and stuff. I will be keeping it. If we read it for the Unfinished Book Club, I will be picking it up. Will I be specifically reaching for it? I don't think so. So I'm just going to be putting it on the shelf of books that I have read, or books that I am not going to pressure myself to read. So with that being said, my own actual TBR is now this big. We went from 2.5 shelves to these books. Now keep in mind, the Demon King is actually a boxed set, so there are 3 more books that should be on here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 books from my own TBR. Do I think I will read any of these before the year is over? I think Cursed, Dark and Lonely and Truly Devious. Maybe the Demon King. Maybe. I'm not sure. I am also itching. I love the idea of me finishing the Red Queen series. Will I realistically get to it? I don't think so. Not before the year is over. And I do have to say that I made a really good progress on my physical TBR. I just have to start buying books now, books that I actually want to read. Otherwise, I will never pick up anything ever again, because this collection is just the books that are left. The final books that have survived all the unhauls and books that kept standing, that were left standing. Anyway, I think that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please like, subscribe, let me know what you thought, and let me know, yeah, just your thoughts overall. If you have a book that you think I'll be interested in, let me know in the comments, and I will see you next time.